Welcome back, everybody. Go, go, go is right. Thank you, Scrabble Kitty. That's my bot right below me saying hi. Just testing it. Anywho, welcome back to the Canton tournament. I've been really lagging behind on these games, so for that I apologize. Not only to um, my subscribers, but also to myself, because now it's been like almost 3 weeks. So I don't remember the games quite as well, but hopefully I can still give you guys great insights. Um, so this game was the second game of day two against my club director, longtime friend, Bernard Gotlieb. He really taught me pretty much everything I know about competitive Scrabble. Um, he really just showed me the reins and brought me to a point where I could really get into the game and start making improvements. And I owe him a whole lot. And for that, I've given back to him an incredibly difficult set of games in our tournament record. I think I've only lost to him once prior to this game, and beaten him 12 times in tournaments, which is pretty absurd, considering that he's a fairly decent player and has been playing for 30 plus years in tournaments. In any case, I was uh, I was all ready and all set to play him 8-0. This was the last opponent that I had in the round robin portion of the event, as there were 10 people in the top division, and we were paired last. So Bernard was actually first here. Um, and he started with OW, opening vertically, of course. Um, yeah, he's the one that taught me that probably as well. Anyways, this is my rack. I had Toyo in many spots. I chose to play it. Um, I think I chose wrong here actually. I seem to remember. Yeah, I remember playing it on this side of OW. Sorry, this side of OW, just citing the idea that bingos ending in S would not score as much with this placement of Toyo, because unless you have ES, bingos ending in S would either have to play a J1 or G2, um, most likely. Whereas with this placement, bingos ending in S could score a bit more at 10A, but I realized shortly after making this play that this was probably a slight inaccuracy on my part. Bernard is definitely very close to a bingo after his play of OW. So my whole idea of reducing the score of said bingos is probably good, but I don't think it's worth I don't think it's worth other small aspects in the position. So the other aspects of the position, if I play Toyo here, this actually blocks um, blocks those bingos ending in S, but allows a lot more seven-letter words, I think, to play. Not a lot more, but opponent next turn for I6 Toyo. Let's see what it says. Bingo percentage 25%, G6 24%. So far it's very close, but I think it just slightly edges it out in that the bingos that play after there are more bingos. This is really hard to explain. This is such a small detail, but the bingos that play after more bingos play after this Toyo, I think, slightly more. Um, so I shouldn't have allowed that, I think. That is what I'm trying to convey. I think I should have played this Toyo. But this is extremely very small details. The thing about these details though is that they snowball. Since Bernard is closer to a bingo than normal, this very small difference in bingo chances of point whatever percent, and it might actually just I don't know, might even out over time. But however small this is would increase just because Bernard is closer to a bingo than usual. And this Toyo for 21 is probably just not worth it because it expands the board. If Bernard has an N, he could just hook onto Toyon. If he doesn't draw into a bingo, he can underlap Toyo for nice points and create this annoying 12 row bingo lane that's very hard to deal with unless you have a long play. So that sort of thing could very well happen. So I think I might have chosen wrong. Um, yeah, but this is a very, very small detail. So I play Toyo here. Bernard plays musical for 70. And I was just like, damn, I should have played on the other side. But again, like he probably has something better. Um, yeah, Alumins, for example, which would have fit, which wouldn't have fit after the other Toyo. Actually, if we put the other Toyo in, we can look at this. Um, what does he have here? Alumine. Okay. Yeah, these are really tough finds. Um, so, anyways, he plays musical, and already we can see that I'm in a little bit of trouble. I did draw an S, which is good, um, but I don't have any good plays here. I considered playing media. The problem with playing media here is that it takes an E, an L, an S, and a D, and an N. The hooks are just insane. Um, so that was not really something I wanted to allow in this position. So instead I played a side. I'm pretty sure that I could play AI here as well. Quackle might like AI a little bit more, but I wanted to remain a little bit more flexible in this position. I think by playing AI, it really limits my possible plays next turn to either bingo or bust. Um, so this may have been an inaccuracy according to the engine, but I don't think it was really wrong. I put a lot of thought into the position and really didn't want to leave myself with three vowels. Um, Although it's kind of counterintuitive to think about it this way because leaving AIS, that is actually a worse vowel to consonant ratio than leaving ADEIS. So one consonant, two vowels versus uh, three vowels, two consonants. That's yeah, the ratio is worse. If you do the math, the equivalent would be four vowels, two consonants. So it is technically more balanced to keep ADEIS. However, um, the third vowel um, and just the overall low score of the leave will end up biting you in the behind a lot. And when you're playing players that you can probably outplay most of the time, such as me versus Bernard, it's good to make slight adjustments to not put yourself in sticky situations early in the game that you might not be able to recover from, such as making a 8 or 10 point fishing play of AI. So that is why I played aside. It also sort of expands the board a little bit. I can now hook onto asides. Of course, I didn't really want to be blocking this S, um, but it has some good aspects to it that I enjoyed. So it seems like a slight inaccuracy according to Quackle, which I totally get. But I think my logic was sound here. So Bernard plays quote for 40 points. And here I had this rack, and I wondered about this play. Oh, maybe I should have played Ahi. I played PHI. I wasn't really sure if it was a good play. I actually wrote a question mark on my score sheet because there are a ton of plays here. Really, really a ton of ton of options. But I think maybe Ahi is the best play. I I think I saw Ahi and just I felt again that it might be the best play. However, if Bernard did have an S, um, it would be really, really hard for me to recover after he made a play hooking Ahis. So I think this in this case might have been way too big of an adjustment. I think I probably should have played Ahi. Um, but there's also this weird feeling that I get whenever I think about um, or analyze games I played against Bernard, where I just feel like Quackle has no idea what's going on. I feel like I've played Bernard so much over the years that I've been able to really pinpoint his weaknesses and maybe even further understand what sort of rack he has at pretty much all times. Um, and that can have an immense value if true. And again, like it might not be true in any given situation. I might be wrong. My intuition might be wrong. Whatever I feel might be wrong. But sometimes I just feel like I bet you if Quackle played this game against Bernard, it wouldn't do as well as I did. Um, but anyways, yeah, this particular situation, you can see the simulation is telling me no, 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 no. You have to make this play. Ahi, like look at how valuable it is. You're setting your S up. You have a P. So many words go SP. You could score like 100 points with your bingo. You could even double double. Like this makes a lot more sense in the position than PHI. But I played PHI, and I don't know if I regret it. But anyways, we'll see what happens. Bernard plays Lifer for 33. Nice play. I draw an interesting three consonants here of KXD. And I drop the A and the X for 40. That's definitely the play. And Bernard plays Veg. And when Bernard played Veg, I pretty much knew that he was not thinking of the A hook, Vega. And this made me, oh, this is exactly the rack that I have. This made me very confused as to what to do. But slowly but surely, I started to understand that I basically need to work very hard to get a word with Vega eventually, and I don't need to use the A hook when I immediately when I draw it, even though that is what would be recommended for anybody that you're playing that sees Vega. Obviously, if I think that Bernard sees Vega or is going to see Vega at any point, I need to be the one that uses the spot. Otherwise, he's just going to score really well with it. But I was very confident that at least immediately he just did not notice this takes an A hook now. Because Vega is a newer word from 2014, Bernard's been playing without the word Vega in the dictionary for over 30 years of his life. So this sort of thing takes an incredible amount of effort to learn because of how long you've played the game of Scrabble, how comfortable you are with the three-letter words. Once that changes, once a word is added to the dictionary, that totally cancels out the normal effect that this word has. Veg used to take nothing. It used to be a very defensive play. Doesn't take an S, doesn't take anything until 2014, where now it takes an A. And this is one of the words that people that have been playing for a long time, even people that haven't been playing for that long, but had been playing without Vega, they fail to see this word. So I immediately seized this opportunity to try and exploit Bernard's miss of Vega. And I was just hoping he wouldn't see it because you can miss it immediately and then be like, oh shit, I just set up an A hook, like what am I doing, and then just play there. But I didn't have an A, so I played KI, which I think is the best play no matter what. um, and Bernard plays Zoa, and I'm just like, okay, he just played Zoa for 25. He obviously had Azo for 44, and I'm just like, wow, like this is so lucky that he hasn't seen Vega. I need to keep on working towards getting that. Um, and I didn't think that Bernard didn't know the word. I think it's just because of how long he's played without it that he isn't even thinking about it. So I didn't expect that he would challenge me whenever I put an A hook on Vega. It's just the idea of just not being aware of certain hooks that can cost you games at times. And I was hoping that it would cost him the game because look at this. He's ahead by 80 points. If he knows Vega, what am I doing in this position? Like, in this position. Like, if he plays Azo for 44, I'm dead. I'm dead. Like, I'm down 55 points. I'm going to be down 100 points with this rack. I am in huge, huge trouble. Um, so I was really, really happy to see Zoa come down. I was like, okay, this is really this a golden opportunity for me to come back in this game because I'm doing really, really poorly. And I also noticed Epizoa, and I also hoped that he might not spot that if he had the E, the P, and the I. There is only one P left, but that is something that might come up. Epizoa scoring 51 points. Anyway, this is my rack. I play OE. Again, I actually end up having to keep ADEIS, the leave I didn't want to keep on the aside move, um, when I didn't want to play AI off. And now I'm forced pretty much to play OE and keep ADEIS. So I don't know. I might have erred on the aside rack, and I maybe more likely erred on the PHI rack. But yeah, at this point, I'm thinking about that in the game, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta move forward. I gotta just keep trying to come back here. This is still salvageable, especially if Bernard doesn't see Vega, which again he does not see. He plays flag. Most likely, he had some play with Vega here that scored better, and I draw into my bingo of daisies, and now it's a game. Bernard, obviously, I was ready for him to react to this play. There is something to be said, by the way, of not taking the A hook here. If these placements of daisies had value to them, which they don't really because they just set up so much scoring. But there is a huge amount of value no matter when I have the Vega hook to just leave it there and then just play it later. But these placements of daisies are just too dangerous. So I decided to take it now. Obviously, I don't know. I might be better off playing here. This does open this huge spot as well. But I felt this was the time to strike. This was the time to basically, when this comes down, your opponent's just like, oh shit. Like when this happens, your opponent's just like, oh my god, I just made a really bad blunder when I played Veg, and he's not even thinking. If he's really in his own head, he's going to be looking back at these last two plays instead of looking forward to be like, oh my god, I should have played with Vega. Um, but I think Bernard was just like, oh my gosh, like he was just sort of shocked that he missed Vega and just started to like think, oh, the game is over. I think he said, oh, it's over now, and I'm just like, dude, like you're still up 5 points. What are you talking about? But I think I'm well in Bernard's head, and this is sort of the reason I think that my record against him is so good because he really does get into his own head about the game, um, and it causes him to make worse plays than he normally would because he's a phenom. He's beaten uh, David Gibson, Joel Sherman, Joe Edley, like I think almost 3 games in a row once at a nationals like 20 years ago or more. Like he's done these things and he can beat anybody at any point. He can outplay anybody. Um, anyways, he plays Rung here, and I'm just like, okay, great. I'm really lucky that he didn't have anything bigger. Um, and here comes this rack. And again, I'm still behind sort of here. Like I can play something like I can play Borts. I think I should just play Borts. I can play something like Bop here. But I decided that like I was going to be even cheekier than any of these plays. I didn't even see these plays. And I don't know, this could have been really bad, but I decided to phony on purpose with Cerebro. And whether Bernard challenged or not was not really a concern of mine. I did not think for a second that he would challenge because he's just realized that he screwed up with Vega. He's far less likely to want to make a decision on a word like this. If it's a bingo, he'd probably challenge. But if it's a word for like 30 or so points, it's very difficult once you're already in your own head to make such a commitment to challenge a word off because you're already just like, well, I screwed up. Like I don't want to screw up again. It's much easier to leave a phony on the board or a potential phony on the board than to commit to potentially losing your turn if you're wrong. So this was definitely not right. Like if I'd seen boards, I should just play boards. Um, no, he didn't challenge. Oops. Let's put this back. Um, that was my whole point. But I should just play boards, and I missed it. Um, yeah. What should I say? No need to phony really. However, making a play like Cerebro does have some value in that if it doesn't get challenged, there's always a possibility it gets challenged. I'm not trying to say that there's no possibility that he was going to challenge this, but it does have value to even to sink the dagger even deeper into your opponent's mind of like them just I don't know not being not being up to winning a certain game. So this is like very psychological warfare type thing that I'm talking about. But yeah, this definitely exists between me and Bernard, and I was fighting here. Like I was losing by a lot, and I really wanted to maximize my chances of winning, whether that involved phoning or not. So I played Cerebro, which is I think the Doctor X's thing in like in X-Men or something. Um, I don't know. I might come off as really stupid if you if you guys know more pop culture than me. But yeah, Bernard plays Vine for 24. Um, and I draw the blank. And here I just felt like I'm winning this game. Like there's no S's, so he can't bingo. Um, I have the last P for Epizoa, so he can't have that. Um, I just need to make sure that if he does play from the V at some point, I either bingo through it or I block it or I open something else for myself. That's my only concern at this point. I can even play Epizoa now. I can play it at any point, but if I play it now, that's not a good idea because I'm only going up like 40 points. Um, but I decided to just drop my D. I think I should probably play odd. Yeah, odd is definitely better here. It's odd that I missed that. The reason that it's better is that the leave is comparable at the very least. It's better actually, according to Quackle. You bingo more. Makes sense. Leaving that D is a little bit heavy. Um, so you bingo more, you score more, you are more likely to hit an actual E for Epizoa. Yeah, everything about odd is better. So that's a miss. Yeah, I just dropped 1D here. Um, I was just expecting he would maybe play something like ending in E and I would just be able to bingo through it. But he doesn't. He actually plays own for 21. Um, like as you can see here, I'm just completely crushing. I can still play Spitz. I can play Epizoa. Um, Instead, I just played id, just keeping things under control. Um, Making sure that no weird things can happen on this side of the board either. Putting an eye there is very safe. I also saw that I was extremely close to like dissipates. Um, Dissipates as a 10-letter word here. Um, but I would need dissipates. Dissip. I would need another S, so yeah, it's impossible because there are no S's left. But I thought I could maybe draw into some 10-letter word. Bernard plays emu for 18, and he's still ahead. Like he's still ahead of tempo here, but I just have what poker players call the nuts, just the best possible tiles pretty much in the position. And I play typists for 80 points, my only bingo in the position. And I was just like, there's no way he's bingoing back. Like I've won this game now. However, from my perspective, let's actually put yourself in my shoes here. Um, Even though it's Bernard's turn, this was my rack. So for my perspective, A B E E H I J L N N R were unseen. And let's put that entirety on Bernard's rack and see what the threat is. And if you already see it, good for you. The biggest threat is Bahaji for 77 points. Habanero is really awesome, and Hernier is actually a bingo that plays. But the reason that this is the biggest threat is not because of its weird valuation, because the valuations are really weird when you do stuff like this in Quackle. The reason it's the biggest threat is because it's a 5-letter word, so there are more ways to have Bahaji on your rack than to have exactly Hernier and exactly Habanero. So it's a lot more likely that Bernard has this word on his rack than these two bingos that I didn't really see. But Bahaji was very worrisome to me. And I actually started to calculate what would happen if he played Bahaji. So let's say he did play it, and maybe he did play it. I'm not saying whether he did or he didn't. So I started to calculate what would happen. And this is important because when you're managing threats, when you're in such a crushing position, you need to make sure that you're ready for the worst case scenarios. And I didn't see that I could play nerds, but I saw that I could play tractate, and I was starting to go through all of the 8 endgames after tractate, just calculating everything on my paper in my head. I knew that I'd be ahead by 2 points after tractate, and that he would only have 1-point letters. And I started to think that this would be really, really close. So we can go through all the possible draws actually here, and let's see if I actually still win, because that was the play that I noticed. But no, it seems like Vane would win here. No, okay, I think there's a mistake with Quackle. Oh no, there isn't. Yeah, no, Vane wins by 1. Oh my goodness. Um, that's insane. So with the A, I lose by 1. With the E, with either of the E's, let's see what happens. I might have to. And I was calculating this. Like I knew that I needed to score 9 points to tie, if ever he had this play here. And again, with the E, I lose. So it actually just didn't seem very good for me in the end. But I didn't actually have time to go through everything because Bernard made his play. He did not play the Haji. Very unfortunately, he phonied here with Haji. When you have these letters, you pretty much are lost anyway. So he tried this word. It came off the board. And I played Trace for 32. So now Baji can't happen anymore. And the last rack that I had, so he had AEEHJNRR. And he played Haj for 34, which wouldn't have been good enough to win the game, which is why he didn't play it last turn. He knew that he had to try something. And I play Blintz, Um, Yummy. Bernard plays En. He misses Vayne, but I'm sure that if he got into the end game, that the end games that I was talking about, he would see this play to win. But he didn't this time. And because of this, I played AN for 13 and had the song "You're So Vain" in my head for the rest of the day, which is one of those songs that gets in my head way too often. Um, and I was kind of annoyed, but I think I was already getting the song in my head because I saw the possibility of Vane or Vane with the A or the E anyway. So yeah, no harm, no foul for Bernard. Like it's obviously not his fault that I had the song in my head, but I was really happy in other news to get away with this win here. I definitely could have made some improvements this game. At the very least, this was just a total mistake, a missing odd. Um, this was definitely gutsy. And I mean, I guess if it stays on the board, it's probably better than Bort's because the leave is better. PST, I'll bingo a lot more. But that's assuming that he never challenges. And I'm not even going to say he's never challenging this. I was very confident he wouldn't challenge, but not to the point where I was like I knew he wouldn't. So this is very risky. Um and again, like this play probably wrong and this play maybe probably not wrong. But yeah, I managed quite the comeback in this game. I drew the tiles that I needed to make said comeback, and yeah, very fortunate to come out of the round robin 9-0. And I was just like, well, I beat everybody. Do I win yet? But of course, no. There are still 5 rounds to go in the tournament, and I need to maintain my composure to finish in first place. And so I will catch you guys on the next episode, game 10. And this is the first time that I didn't know who I was playing yet because the round robin portion was finished. So yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and I'll catch you soon.